Okay, so you may have noticed that I haven't uploaded a vlog in a couple of days. In fact, it's been a week. I got back from Holland and then went to Namaqualand, which was just wonderful for the Methodist Synod, the 200-year celebration of the founding of the first mission station up in Namaqualand near the Namibian border. So beautiful there. But somewhere between Holland and Namaqualand, I picked up a little bit of a cold and the flu, and came back to the office on Monday last week and had such a busy week with conferences and chairing some sessions, and had my regular work to do, teaching and marking and all of these things. So I didn't get a chance to record a video. So today's video is perhaps a little less focused than some of the others, but recorded on a trip to Johannesburg today, where I came for a board meeting for a board that I sit on for an educational institution. So I hope you find it interesting. Mainly recorded in the airports at Cape Town and Johannesburg, and yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you find it interesting, please do subscribe to the video, leave me a comment in the comment section, subscribe on Twitter at digitaldion, Instagram, Beme, or hook up with me on my website. So thanks for watching, and I hope you find it interesting. Today we're going to talk a little bit around time and Kairos time and history and human agency and achievement and the mission of God. Thanks for watching. So just after 6 in the morning, and I'm at the airport in Johannesburg today for some meetings. Came through on the big bike today on the BMW. It was freezing on the highway. Forgotten how much covering and shielding the Vespa gives to your legs and body. But I have to come back this evening at about 9, and didn't want to drive my Vespa on the highway at that time of the night. So the big bike it is, and of course it went beautifully. This lovely yellow BMW, had it for some years now. Absolutely love it. So let's get in. I'm already checked in, but let's get through security. Right, so after a 4:30 a.m. rise, 5:30 to the airport, and a 6:30 flight to Joburg, the day's work is done. I was here for board meetings for TEC College, the Theological Education by Extension College. Really wonderful work, training laity and clergy in an extension manner. It's different from distance learning training in that persons are educated in their communities to keep the skills and the resources there. Really wonderful model developed in Latin America in the 1960s, brought to South Africa during the apartheid era to train South Africans during an era when black and brown South Africans were excluded from access to formal education, or largely excluded at universities. So really great work, and it's a great privilege to serve on that board. But I'm back at the airport. It is just before 4 p.m. and my flight takes off in just over an hour. So glad to have made it here through the traffic, and looking forward to being home in Cape Town tonight. So one of the stories that touched me today was shared by the chairman of our board, Bishop Peter Lee, who is an Anglican bishop here in Johannesburg. And yesterday was his 69th birthday, and also the first of his retirement celebrations. He retires from his post at the end of this year. And the particular community in which he celebrated yesterday is an informal settlement. And he shared that one of the disappointments was that during his tenure as a bishop, they hadn't managed to resolve some conflicts in that community, but also that they hadn't managed to change the economic situation that the people faced there. You know, I was struck by a sense that, you know, that is something to be sad about. I mean, all of us hope that in the work that we're going to do, we'll achieve the things that we set out to do. But one of the things that struck me was this notion of not having to see the results, or sometimes not even being privileged enough to see the results of our labors. The fact that sometimes the things that we work for will be achieved in the right time and not necessarily our time. And it reminded me very much of the work of Jürgen Moltmann, who in his Theology of Hope reminds us that we live not in the time of the ordinary person, but we live in an eschatological time. History is bound up in the fullness of God's time. And sometimes the things that we expect or hope to be realized in our lives or in our time are premature. Maybe they're not meant to be achieved yet, or not meant to be achieved in the ways in which we see them. But of course, the hope that Jürgen Moltmann speaks about is a hope that's far greater than just mere achievement or the recognition of the things that we want. Sometimes the achievement that comes in God's fullness of time, the kairos, the fullness of the moment, is something that brings a more lasting, more just, a more joyous achievement. So today I was just reminded that as Christians, our good works are never in vain. And even if we don't see the fruits of our labors right away, we shouldn't just give up doing the good that we are doing. We should continue to work for the good that God has called us to. And we should work faithfully and consistently to try and see that the things that God has given us to do are done, and that they're done well. And even if we don't see them achieved in our lifetimes, let's not lose hope. Because the good news is that the God whom we serve, His will be achieved, and it will be a just and a joyous and a good will. So I'll leave that with you today. Remember, it's not a lecture, it's just a thought. I need to go and go through security and get ready to board my flight home to Cape Town.